just wanted to talk about the, just the fact that we're always learning or teaching. So learn from everyone. You're constantly observing, recording, processing throughout the day. So take notes, and even with your friends or family or I don't know, teachers or just anybody, see what you're learning from each person, see what qualities they have, and what do you like about them, and maybe sort of add that to your own life, and keep growing, expanding, incorporating what you've learned from each person, the good bits in your life. I have an English friend, and it's whenever I go to her house, I always take my shoes off, as I do with my own house, and she will just tell me, no, you don't have to take it off, and I'm like, yeah, I know, but I have to because I don't know if any of you know, but in the Muslim world, we take our shoes off when we enter our home, and when we enter a mosque or somebody's house or just any place like that. It's a sign of respect, and it's also it's an hygiene issue. So it's kind of like multi-layered why we do it, but the main obvious one is it's an hygiene issue. You've been walking around the entire city, even if it's not the entire city, you've just been walking around, and you don't know who's been there, you don't know just anything, so when we enter our homes, or somebody else's home, or the mosque, or any of that sort of places, it is treated with a lot of respect and with a lot of sacredness, if that's even a word. And she's learning, and of course I was doing this, unconsciously, just taking the shoes off, and it is what I do in my own daily life, but she's always observing, and then I have to kind of explain why it's home, it's your home, and I do this in my own house, so where she doesn't mind. I could go up to anywhere in her house and she wouldn't mind, but I've always respected people, and kind of because I like them to show me the same kind of courtesy when they get to my house. So we're always, what I'm trying to say is, we're always learning from each other. She's learning a lot about my cultural practices, or religious values, or things like that, and I'm also learning about her and her own culture and things like that. So, and it's not just limited to your friends. It could be a teacher at the college, it could be a teacher at the school, or it could be anybody. Observe people, learn from them, and especially when someone is older than you, they are much more experienced and they've been through a lot more than you have. So seek guidance, and and you'll also be wiser than people at your age. I love talking to people that are older than me because there's a part of me that believes this person has been around, for half a century or more, and just I try and imagine what they've been through in their life and how they managed to sort of come out of it. And also it doesn't have to be someone from your own background or someone from your own race or anything like that. If you observe anyone, they could be from any religion or any culture or any race, or it just could be anyone. It could be the CEO of a company, or it could be the cleaner, or the bin man, or just everyday people. And also learn to sit back and observe people. You don't always have to be kind of what's the word, like you don't have to be kind of like annoying and start asking them questions and things like that. People are not comfortable with that. I find just observing them is I think much better, and just question things like, why do I like this person? Wonder what is it about them that I find fascinating. I remember I had this crush on a reporter once, and and I was like, why do I love listening to this this reporter? And it turns out it was his voice. So it's good to I'm using this example to kind of just show you how you have to kind of like pinpoint and really kind of like be targeted. I always ask myself strange questions. They're not really strange, but people find it strange. People that I find that are not awake will find the questions that I ask myself very strange. But I don't find it strange. I find it to be liberating. I think that's the right word. Liberating in the sense that, if you can ask yourself a question like, and I've said it in my other previous episodes, if you ask your questions, if you ask yourself, if you ask yourself questions like, why do I like this? What is it about this person that I find fascinating, or I don't know, admiring or alluring, or whatever the thing is? And it doesn't always have to be chemistry or anything like that. It could just be friendship. It could be maybe like a guardianship. It could be like someone who appears to be like a leader, and you feel like, I can learn a lot from this person. So it doesn't have to be in a romantic sense all the time, although we can be. Even if you're dealing with someone in the romantic sense, you can still ask yourself questions like, what do I like about them? and really pinpoint what qualities of that person you like, and what qualities of that person you dislike, and see which list outweighs the other. So if the bad obviously outweighs the good, then obviously the person needs to go. And if the good outweighs the bad, then you got something. So do things like that. I always try and learn from everyone, from all walks of life. I talk to everyone. I had a strange conversation with someone on my Facebook the other day, and I've never realized, I don't know, when I picture or when I think of people in general, I always think they are very similar to me. Maybe it's a bit of a I don't know what the word is. Maybe it's a bit of a naivety in my part, but I always think people are very. I always think people are very similar to me in taste, in, let's say, in expressiveness, or in personality, or So when I had recently spoken to someone who they're just too shy to talk, and and I thought to myself, God, they're like in their 20s, and I just thought to myself, I swear I was not like this when I was 20, or even younger, 15. I was always, I haven't changed since the day that I've was 14, 17, that sort of age. I haven't changed in the sense, I still express myself in the same manner. I still, I don't know. I still like the same things I did, maybe more. I still, I don't know, I still have that kind of an appetite. I've always had that, I can never explain, but I've always had this innate appetite for life and for adventure, and for this kind of I know Einstein said something similar, but this kind of incredible amount of curiosity, just to know things, like, oh my God, how does this work, and if I go there, and if I have this dish, I wonder how it's gonna taste, and if I've always had that, and it led me into the most beautiful places and experiences, and so my attitude towards life has always been one of an incredible adventure, and that there's a sense of wonder, and most of it's like this kind of a romantic glass. I've got this kind of course it will happen, especially when I'm setting my goals. I always think, of course it's gonna happen. And so when I meet someone, I had a friend once when I was in my 20s. She moved to another country now, but she wasn't very confident in anything she wore, or makeup, or anything like that. And I always used to be like, what, when did you become like this? Like, seriously, when did it happen? Because she was just very different from me. So and I've never kind of picked up that people are different from me. I've never seen, I don't know, but I've never seemed to kind of pick up that, not everybody is like you, and not everybody sees the world as I do. I roughly thought, everyone was a bit similar in some ways. So when you see someone who says things like, I don't talk to people, or I haven't spoken to anyone, or I haven't had my first date, or, I just like, I'm always a bit, wow, I find it to be, I don't know, tragic. It's definitely, it's, life is for living, you have to kind of cross all these milestones, as I call them, or maybe the rest of the world calls them. I used to watch, just to divert, I used to watch, I don't know what was the show called, Miranda. There was a show on in the UK called Miranda, and the main character, her mother used to say things like, she used to think that she invented words, like, she used to say, what I called November, we all call it November, and I used to love that comedy show. Anyway, I don't know why I mentioned it, but comedy is very, very good for the soul. So I would advise anyone to watch comedy anytime throughout the day, especially if you're like in a lockdown in London, we are at the moment. So it's fantastic to kind of catch up on, whether it's comedy or films or whatever, or read the books you wanted to read, and do the home improvements you always wanted to do. And it's a fantastic period to really catch up and do things that you don't get to do every day. So yeah, I think would just advise anyone who's listening to just go out and try. I don't really like the idea of regretting, why didn't I ask that person out, or why didn't I, go here, go to that holiday, or instead of, one day asking yourselves these kind of questions, why not try and live every day and try new things, whether it's food, or I don't know, wearing a bright color. I love red. Try to kind of push your comfort zone and really put yourself out there. Talk to people. Communication skills, it's one of the most important skills you'll ever have in your life. As I can speak to anyone, literally. I can speak to anyone from any walks of life. I could be, I don't know, you could take me to anywhere in the world, and I would really talk to people and kind of, I met, I think, 3 of my friends in a course that I was studying. Two of my other friends, in a train station. So sometimes I'll just ask people for the time, and then it turns into, one time I was wearing a very strong perfume. I was going to this family gathering and I was wearing a really strong perfume. Of course, I didn't know at the time, but I think I've kind of oversprayed my Coco Chanel there. And so I've asked one of my friend, who I didn't know at the time, what the time was, because my phone died. And the first thing he said was, "Whoa." And I thought to myself, what? Huh? And he said, "Whoa," again. And I thought, why are you saying this? Just tell me the time. What's the time? And he said, "Forget about the time. What are you wearing?" And then I said, "What do you mean?" And you sort of literally, this is how it happened. Then I was like, "What do you mean?" And I was a bit confused. I thought he was referring to my outfit. And he said, "No, your perfume is very strong." Then I started laughing. I was like, well, there's nothing I can do. It's not like I can tone it down or something. And and then he started laughing and we started talking from there, and, another time, there was a security guard in another train station and we were chatting for hours about, it started off as, "Where you off to this holiday?" Or I think it was something like that. And before you know it, we were talking about the guy's pension and his future goals and plans. And I always talk to the postman, I talk to the binman, I talk to the bus driver, just the point of it all is to kind of I suppose first of all is to be pleasant and friendly and kind of because if you're going to be dealing or seeing these people every day, you want to have a good relationship. But the second part is it's like a bit of a rehearsal almost. You're kind of rehearsing for a skill that you will use one day on these strangers. So one time I was lost and I still have that friend on Facebook. One time I was going for a job interview and I was lost, and so I found this lady walking on the opposite road and I just said, "Excuse me, do you know where this address is?" And she said, I'll take you there." And so we started talking and she was like, "Well, you dressed really smart." And I was like, "Thank you very much. I have a job interview." And so she was like, "Let's hurry up." And I had to take my heels off and start running. So we literally had like 3 minutes to get there. I hate wearing heels, but they really look good. So, you have to kind of sacrifice. And it was a really funny, job interview. The person who was doing the job interview, and I find, maybe it's just me, but I find if the job interview is if they're male, I'm always like, oh, thank God, or I pray that they are all male. My cousin's like, "You're very ill." I'm like, "No, I'm not." There's just they concentrate on other things. So anyway, this interview guy had the book with him, The Secret, and then I said, and he asked me, it was on my CV anyway, but he asked me and I said, "Oh, I'm reading The Secret myself." And we started talking about the author and the law of attraction, and we're going to this whole different topic, and it had nothing to do with the job or anything like that. So So I came out of the interview and I was like, yay, I know I've got the job. And so yeah, I got a call next day and I did get the job. So see, what I'm saying to you is, what I'm saying to you is, you're always communicating. You're always, it's one of those skills that you're always using. So why not practice it and be really good at it? Do your homework beforehand. I know when I'm doing a job interview or things like that, I literally call the whole family and I'll be like rehearsing in my own kitchen, and I will borrow my cousin's expensive shoes, my other cousin's handbag, the other one's perfume. I start telling them to all gather up what they have and see what fits, and and also we do a rehearsal. Should I do a handshake? Am I going to give them a hug? I think a hug is a bit too much, but a handshake is good, and a nice warm greeting. I have to kind of get someone to pick up the kids, or someone to look after the kids on that day, or cook the lunch the night before, and you've got all these stuff that you have to do. So communication is key throughout your life, and even when you get to like a pensioner's age, the ones that are not really good with communication or that are very quiet are usually the ones that are lonely. You see other ones that are really active and they've got some, I don't know, community bus or a community place to go, or they've got family or some hobbies or something to do. So communication is really, really key. The other thing is, I'm really a great believer in the whole law of attraction, and I really believe if you give out a lot of love, when you remember anniversaries. I can never remember any anniversary. I'm always like, who? If it's like my cousin's birthday, I start running around like an hour or two before the day. Or I start searching in my cupboard, what can I give her? So if you remember the anniversaries or something that's important to them, or maybe it's their birthday like I said, or then the person will definitely value you. And if you, instead of giving them things they want, use, if you notice they need something, like with my family, everybody loves dressing gowns, just the fleecy jumper that we wear on top of our pajamas, those of you who are not in the UK. They seem to love that. So then I have to go on to QVC and order, I think it's Carol Hoffman. They've got this American style kind of dressing gowns that you can zip up, and they're very, very good quality. I've got like 3. So even if I'm sending it back home, or especially for my mom or my aunties, my uncle and things like that, it's a very good gift, and it's something they will use every day, even if it's not winter, especially for someone who's in their 70s. They would probably use it every day. How they always are, very cold, even if the house is like blazing with the heat, that they still feel cold. So yeah, so things like that. So be kind of thoughtful and pay attention to what people need, rather than just buying them some random stuff they're never going to use. and be generous with your time, with your attention, with your I don't know, with your love, with your give hugs and be so, you know, like if you give out all these sort of amazing qualities and you give all of yourself. If, for example, if what I try and do nowadays, never used to do, but what I try and do nowadays is if I'm speaking to someone, you know, whether they're kind of I'm face to face with the person, or if it's over the phone or things like that, I would always, if it's on the phone, then I would call them at time where the kids are in bed and I haven't got anything else kind of disturbing me, so I can, you know, give the person my full attention. And you know, people value things like that, rather than you just speaking to them and then you're not paying attention to what they're saying or things like that. I think it's really rude, and I know I was guilty of it, still am, I think, but I'm learning. I'm always learning. I'm always kind of expanding my thoughts, and I really want to improve in every area, you know, of life, and that's not going to take one day, but it will kind of take a long time. I always use the motto, you know, Rome was not built in a day, which is brilliant. So learn from people, anyone, be open-minded. And that's the other thing. I think my greatest, personally, I think I was the firstborn in my mum's children. So I don't know what it is about firstborn, but they seem to be a lot more open-minded. My sister's not like that, and my brother's not like that. They're also not of people that are awake, in the sense that, you know, you'll say things like whether it's the law of attraction or the universal energy, and they will look at you like, what? So I just close the subject altogether. I know they're not there, so no point forcing it, you know. But yeah, so they're not open-minded, but it's a beautiful thing. I've always had this openness, you know, that I can speak to people in whatever topic, even the ones that are kind of awkward for some people is not really awkward for me, because I just think, well, I need to get to the bottom of this and, you know, and understand. I have a friend that was making fun of me yesterday. I don't really understand or use the London slang that people seem to use nowadays. And she said, what did she say? I'm going to my yard, I think. And I thought to myself, I don't think you have a yard. Where are you going? She'll, you know, she's very funny. She'll text me certain stuff like TW and all these kind of, I just give her a call. Okay, are we meeting tomorrow? Oh, that's fine. And then, you know, just tell me the time. There is no way I can understand all the short abbreviations she gets to write, and or even, it's like the Da Vinci Code almost. And she knows me very well, so I just give her a call. Okay, are we meeting tomorrow? See you then. Because there is no way I'm going to understand any of that rubbish. I also don't think it's authentic, use of the language. Seriously, if it's not in the dictionary, you would not hear me saying it or use it, if for that matter. I don't really like, kind of, what's the word? It's not tarnishing, but I don't really like destroying languages. I'm a big fan of languages, and I like it to kind of be spoken in its original form. Now I kind of understand. We're not at the period where Shakespeare was around, but I swear that man would be turning in his grave if he saw a lot of Londoners today. But at least try, and stop using all these, it's just rubbish. It really is. None of it makes sense. And it's worse than EastEnders. But anyway, I don't use it myself, and I don't understand it, and I think it's just not for me. I really don't have my small brain to kind of translate all that. I have enough to remember all my passwords and all my email addresses and all the nonsense we deal with, my address and all the nonsense we have to remember. And I don't really need to remember what TW, whatever, tonight abbreviation or tomorrow stands for, but just speak. I hope that we get to a situation where people just speak normal, and there's no situation where I get to situations nowadays where I literally feel like I'm gonna need a translator. And I look at them like, and you live in London? What part of London do they speak like that? Even if it's my part, I don't really know. But I wouldn't like to actually. I find it. I wouldn't like someone to learn the Somalian language and then to, kind of destroy it. I wouldn't like to kind of witness that. So this is another. Anyway, it's not for me, is what I was just gonna say. But yeah, back to our topic. Just be loving, be forgiving, be someone who is on their way up in a lot of areas of their life, and be open-minded, be adventurous, push yourself and really go for it, be inspired, and whatever you consume, throughout the day, whether it's motivational videos, whether it's, some beautiful quotes or really good music or whatever those beautiful, if it's really good stuff, then you will have quality thoughts. But if it's really like depressing and I don't know, like the rock band, the metal rock band, the ones that you feel like they just banging too I was telling this to my friend, the ones that you feel like they just bang into frying pans. If it's something like that and you're listening to that all day long, God almighty, then or if you're around people that are really negative and that are really just down, and they have like a melancholy, and they complain about everything. Have you noticed those people? They complain about the traffic, they complain about the rain, they complain about the season, they complain about the taxes, and the VAT, and and you look at them like, you're not the only one experiencing all these things. The rest of the planet, maybe in London, are also dealing with food prices and all the other nonsense, that we have to deal with. It's not just you, is what I'm trying to say. But they treat it as if they're the only ones that are kind of going through these things. And I think it shows their mindset. I don't really talk about anything negative. I don't watch anything negative. I don't entertain anything negative. I don't have a lot of female friends that are negative. I might have one or two that have their own issue, but I limit their time with me. I just, I got things to do. I'd rather listen to a nice motivational video, or I don't know, finish the books that I'm reading than to listen to that nonsense. So choose what you entertain, and you will see how much your life improves, because you'll have this kind of what was the quote? I think it was, whatever you give your attention to, or where your attention goes, that kind of expands. I don't know how we went. It's somewhere in that region. I'm terrible at remembering quotes and or it depends actually. If it's a really long one, I won't remember it, but but I would kind of remember the beginning of it, just not the ending. But what I'm trying to say is, remember what you're watching and what you're, eating, or what you listen to, the people that you are around. All those things are kind of feeding your mind all day, and you're either going to be a really nice positive person at the end of each day, or you're going to be really down, and your mental health will suffer. So choose the things you entertain wisely, and that includes people, and just watch your energy around certain people, and if you have a complainer, like I just mentioned, then stay away from them, because they don't notice the beauty, they don't notice, their entire life will go past and they wouldn't notice it, or at least they wouldn't notice the positive bits, but they would notice the negative bits. And what expands is usually for them the negative, whereas another person, they would only see the positive, and you want to be around those people. So that's all I wanted to say. I know I rambled on about other topics, but the main focus really is just learn from everyone and have an open-mindedness about you. Have openness, be one of those people that are approachable. I hope that I appear that way. When I often tell people, what was your first impression of me? I like them to say, you're really approachable. I had a few times people say that you're really easy to talk to. They can tell me a lot of things and I don't react. Whereas I think my former self, in my 20s, I would have been like, what? But nowadays, being 38 or something, It just, I don't know, or maybe it's been awake for 10 years, really awake, and people can say things like, well, I've just came back from Mars, or I've seen an alien, or whatever, but it doesn't really, I don't react to it, because I just think, oh really, what do they look like? Whereas I would have been a lot more defensive, or rude or something in the past, and I really love that about myself, that I'm growing and expanding and just practicing a lot of self-love and a lot of just acceptance of everyone, and just be a decent human being that people can approach if they need it, and that someone who doesn't judge, someone who's really understanding, very calm, and you will be proud of yourself. I have to go, but just be open, love yourself, accept yourself, forgive yourself. Once you've done all that for yourself, then it's easier to do it for others. Okay, I have to go, but bye-bye, and I'll speak to you next time. Bye-bye. If there's anyone who wants to send a message or take part in this beautiful podcast, or send in questions or anything like that, I'm really open to it, so send it, and I'll speak to you soon. Okay, bye-bye.